的各位观众朋友以及现场的各位观众朋友们，大家下午好，欢迎回到我们的现场，来到2019年China GT 中国超级跑车锦标赛的年度第4站秦皇岛站的比赛现场，我是方咪。现在呢，这个雨势越下越大了，已经转到了中雨，那同样的风力也是渐渐起来了。在这样的天气条件下呢，在我身后13辆赛车呢将会进行的是为期1个小时的来自于 GT3和 GTC 2个组别的同场竞技。那在第2回合的这个排位赛当中呢，111号车组的2位车手韩寒和他的队友 Joseph 是获得了杆位，所以呢将会从第1位发车。在他们身旁出发的呢是来自于D2车队的2号廖阳，年仅18岁的年轻小将。他呢将会一个人开完全程的比赛，而因为我们的比赛呢全年已经进入到第4站，已经过半了，所以很多观众朋友肯定关心的是车手积分榜。而现在车手积分榜榜首的是来自于 FIS Team AAI 的 Nick Yellowlee 75号车组，他们将会从第7位发车。那究竟在这个 GT3 领域谁会问鼎冠军的宝座呢？再说一下 GTC 组别是75号王涛和黄熙展呢将会创下最快圈速，从 GTC 组别领跑。那1个小时的比拼，相信尤其是在这样的雨战的天气条件下，会为大家带来很多的精彩。Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome back to the second round here in Qinhuangdao circuit for the 2019 China GT Championship right here. I'm Sophie Lee, and as you can see behind me, 13 cars are ready for a 1-hour race. And also car 111 from Han and Joseph took the pole position. They're going to start it from the front row of the grid. Cross finger for all the drivers, but before all the actions happen on the track. 那接下来的时间，首先我们一起欣赏一段视频，回顾一下在昨天我们的第1回合 GT3 和 GTC 组别的正赛当中的一些精彩瞬间。Let's enjoy a video clip that will show you the highlights from the round 1 of the GT3 and GTC category from yesterday. Take a look. 好的，在我身旁的是从甘位发车的111号车组的韩寒。那韩寒想问一下，其实你的首秀竟然是以这样的天气、这样的赛道来开始的，跟我们说一下，在今天比赛当中，你觉得最大挑战是来源于哪里呢？
我觉得赛道特别的，尤其是在高速弯赛道有很多的积水，因为这是一个新的赛道。但我们的车调教还有我们的团队，我觉得都非常的好。那我觉得，我守住这个位置，然后好好的把这个车交给我的队友，我觉得这是最重要的。
好的，谢谢韩寒，祝你好运。Okay, Han just mentioned about actually there are lots of high-speed corners, so the adjustment of the car is very important in the race. Good luck for Han. Now cross back to your guys， 转回到我们的解说间。祝你好运。
Thank you, Sophie, and good afternoon, and welcome to a very wet Qinhuangdao to the Shougang GT circuit for round 8 of the 2019 China GT Championship. This a delayed start. The start was delayed by over an hour after some considerable rainfall earlier on this afternoon. Thankfully, we're able to get underway. It will be a safety car start, and you can see for yourself just how wet the track is. Lots of standing water and very treacherous indeed. We've seen several drivers in yesterday's race in round 7 come a cropper, notably at the hairpin at turn 12, which is a downhill point on the track, and you can see, looking at the track there to the left-hander, just how much water there is on the exit of that left-hander there. You can see very treacherous conditions indeed. And Eric Zhang, the pole sitter in yesterday's race in round 7, was one to fall foul of the conditions at turn 17, the very last corner before the start-finish straight. He lost it and then was mired in the grass at the back and then had to join the field at the back of the field. Nick Yellerly and Joe Osborne, the two professional drivers from Great Britain, both fell foul of the conditions as well, both running wide there, but that managed to rejoin the race. We heard from Han, the pole sitter in the GT3 category, and Sophie is down there on the grid with CJ Huang, the leader of the GTC category. Let's hear from him now.
好的，那在我身旁75号车组的黄熙展，因为其实昨天你跑第2棒的时候非常遗憾，最终是没有能够完成比赛。那今天是从这个位置，同样也是 GTC 领跑的车辆，下雨这么大的一个天气条件下，你觉得今天就获胜的把握有多大呢？
因为赛道的状况非常湿滑，然后路面抓地力非常的差，那我们待会会在 GT3 后面的话 ，GT3 它起来的这个水汽也是非常的多，尾流也是非常的乱，所以尽可能就是保持一个完整的节奏，不要让自己的注意力松散掉，把精神掌握，把车开好，把车子顺利的交给我的搭档王涛。
集中精力，祝你好运。Okay, Xizhen just mentioned about actually because today the track is really slippery, so especially the starting of the whole game followed by was followed so many GT3 cars. They're going to create lots of water behind it, so he just need to keep focus and try his best to maintain the position. 那接下来时间呢，将我们现场转交回解说间 ，cross back to your guys.
Yes, the big curveball here this afternoon in Qinhuangdao is going to be the rainfall. The race delayed by over an hour, but great to see so many fans still sticking around. This a brand new track here, just completed a matter of weeks ago, and great to see the locals really embracing motor racing and the China GT Championship here in Qinhuangdao. The race getting underway shortly. Mechanics, engineers, well-wishers, all leaving the grid now. And you can see for yourself there just how wet it is. The rain still coming down. It has lightened up a bit over the last hour or so. It was coming down almost like stair rods about an hour ago, but thankfully we are going to be able to get some running here this afternoon. We heard from Han there, the Chinese driver on pole position in the 111 McLaren 720S. And there, let's have a look at the latest championship standings. Nick Yellerly still leading with 124 points. He and his teammate Junsen Chen did not have a good race yesterday. All sorts of problems and penalties, but there we are. Nick Yellerly still leading. Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello Jeffrey Lee in second position on 110 points. Then third, Alessio Picariello, Eric Zhang and Adam Christodoulou on 84 points. Fourth place, Lin Yu on 76 points. He's not taking part this weekend. In fifth, then we have Kevin Chen and Ivan Lee, also not taking part after a bad crash in practice on Friday, which ruined the 92 FIS Team AAI BMW. And sixth, Frank Yu and Jasmine Jafar, also not taking part in this weekend's event. There is Peter Liao, driving the number 2 D2 Racing Mercedes. He starts second on the grid, and he doesn't have a co-driver this weekend, so he'll be doing it all on his own this afternoon. Here's a look at the GTC standings. Zhou Bi Huang leading the way on 122 points. Then we have Zheng Wancheng on 86. Then CJ Huang, Wang Tao and Liu Kai and Lo Ziho all on 72 points. And then a big gap to Dominic Ang and Song Bo on 40 points. Unfortunately, those two also not taking part after problems earlier this weekend. Xiao Min and Zhang Dasheng on 36 points, also not competing this weekend. There we see the 68 car, the Extreme Motorsports Radical of Liu Kai and Lo Ziho, starting last on the grid in 11th position with 50 kilograms of success ballast after they won GTC yesterday, and it'll be interesting to see if they can work their way through the field. Let's have a look at this Shougang GT circuit now. Lots of 90-degree turns, left and right-handers. It's a purpose-built track, but it does look very much like a street circuit. Some faster turns, like here at 4 and 5, and then hard braking down into the 90-degree turns, such as 6, 7 and 8. Then flat out this kink at 9 before braking hard to the left-hander at 10. And then a very tight Mickey Mouse section at the bottom of the track. There's a downhill section there, and lots of water collects at the hairpin at 12. Before 15, very hard braking to the right-hander, and then turn 17, the last corner before the start-finish straight. A critical corner there, very important to get that right. Onto the start-finish straight, the longest straight on the circuit at 400 meters, and we've seen several drivers fall foul of the conditions at turn 17. Lots of water tends to collect there. Eric Zhang, Nick Yellerly, and Joe Osborne twice yesterday falling foul of the conditions and spinning or running wide at that treacherous turn 17. Thankfully, in this morning's GT4 race, we didn't see too much of that. All the drivers seemed to negotiate things a lot better at turn 17 this morning, so perhaps the extra days running and the extra experience of having raced there yesterday will stand the drivers in good stead for another race today. This Shougang GT circuit, an interesting layout. It's built around the site of a disused factory, which is why you see all sorts of chimneys and pipes and all sorts of other industrial scenery in the background. A lot of new purpose-built tracks tend to be rather soulless affairs, built in the middle of nowhere. And this certainly a rather different backdrop and a rather interesting one. There you see the 1-minute board going up, the lights flashing on that safety car. The race will start behind the safety car, as every race so far this weekend has done. Qinhuangdao in East China, normally a good spot for a beach holiday, very popular with people for their summer holidays, but this weekend, if you've brought your bucket and spade and your beach ball, I don't think you're going to be getting much change out of it. It's been very wet all weekend. Thankfully, the worst of the rain has saved itself for just before and just after the races, so we haven't had huge deluges of rain while the drivers are on the track, but nevertheless, a big downpour just about an hour or so ago means the track is very wet indeed, and quite right, we're starting the race behind the safety car, giving the drivers a chance to assess the conditions and also to clear some of the water on the track, because these cars going around the track, even at a reduced speed that they will be going under the safety car, they still will clear an awful lot of the water with those treaded rain tyres that they will have on. No slick tyres today, of course. They will be completely unsuitable for such treacherous conditions, so they'll be having the rain tyres with tread very much like the tread that you might see on your normal road car. But there we are. Then the race is now underway. There's no formation lap. The race is now technically underway, and you'll see the clock in the top middle of your screen count down from 60 minutes. So there'll be a few laps. There's no way of telling exactly how many laps. This morning we had about 3 or 4 laps under the safety car before the race director decided that the conditions were safe enough to go racing in. and it certainly does seem wetter than it was for yesterday's GT3 and GTC race, and indeed for the GT4 race this morning. A lot of spray coming up, a lot of puddles and a lot of standing water on the track. I'm very intrigued to see exactly what the track is going to look like down at turn 12. That's the downhill section of the track where the water does collect. You can see just there, this is turn 7, I think. And you can see on the outside there the rain falling and the shine on the road. Still a lot of puddles there, and the medical car at the back there. Now that is the car that follows the cars around on their first lap at racing speed, so in case there is any sort of incident or anybody has an accident, then the medical car can get to the scene very quickly. A very standard feature, not just in China GT, but all forms of motorsport. Safety advances have been huge in motorsport in recent years, not just in GT racing, but also single-seaters. And the cars now are remarkably safe indeed. One feature of the track that we've seen so far this weekend is that some parts seem to be absolutely sodden and absolutely soaking wet, and other parts there seems to be a very clear dry line emerging. I'm not sure we'll see much of a dry line at the moment. Certainly a lot of water on the track at the moment, more so I think than we've seen before any race so far this weekend. Look at the spray emanating from the back of the cars, even at these reduced speeds. And this will be very good indeed for Han, the Chinese driver on pole position, because when we do get underway, he's going to have the advantage of a clear track and a clear road ahead of him. Everyone else behind him is going to have to contend with the spray. And if you think the visibility is bad from the TV camera here, then it is even worse from inside the car. Because looking down on the track like we are now, it's much, much easier to see when you're in the car. You're just driving into a wall of spray, and sometimes you cannot see a thing. You just have to go by the markers on the side of the road. The curbs there help you find your way around. You see the yellow flags waving, and those yellow flags are telling the drivers there's a hazard on the track, no overtaking is allowed. And this is exactly the sort of procedure that we will see later in the race when we do get going eventually. If there is a hazard on track, if somebody has an accident, for example, if there is debris on the track, or if somebody parks their car in an unsafe position, then the safety car will come back out, the race will be neutralized, and the cars will have to line up in order behind the safety car. There's no overtaking allowed, and the cars just have to follow like this at a reduced pace to allow the marshals to clear whatever danger or debris that there is on the track. Once the danger is cleared, then the safety car will come in and we'll be able to go racing again. As it is at the moment, the safety car is still out. The lights on the top still very much on. When those lights go off, then that signals that the safety car is coming in and we're going racing, but no sign of that just yet. And just look at the size of that puddle on the outside of the left-hander at the top of your screen. And even with this camera high up, the spray coming from those tyres, it makes it very, very hard to see. I can only imagine what the drivers must be looking into. It must be unbelievably difficult to see even a few feet in front of you. And certainly the rain making this an even trickier proposition than it would be in the dry conditions. There, the number 75 YC Racing Lamborghini of CJ Huang and Wang Tao. That car starting in 7th position on the grid and first in the GTC category. And you can see them going, that is the hairpin at turn 12. That is where a lot of the water collects, and it certainly does look as if there is an enormous amount of standing water at the left-hand hairpin at turn 12. Thankfully, it's a very slow part of the track anyway. We haven't seen too many cars spinning off or running wide at turn 12 simply because they have to go so slowly just to negotiate that very tight portion of the track. A lot of the drama has come at turn 17, and that is the corner that the 111 McLaren is just going through now. Lots of water there at turn 17. Many drivers coming a cropper there earlier in the weekend. That is Betty Chen looking on, and she will take over from her teammate Jesse Krohn, the Finnish driver, starting in 5th position with number 91 BMW, making his China GT debut this weekend, and Jesse, unfortunately for him, didn't manage to get in the car yesterday because Betty Chen, who took the first stint for yesterday's race, unfortunately was unable to finish, ended up beached in the grass. The conditions very, very hazardous, and obviously the grass, when it rains, as it has been raining for these last few days, the grass very much like a quagmire, and as soon as you get in, very difficult to get out, especially with these cars completely unsuited to off-roading. You see the front splitter there, very, very low ground clearance, and these cars designed to go fast on tarmac and not negotiate the quagmire that the infield and the grass has become this weekend. Though saying that, this morning, Wang Tao in his BMW did manage to get out. There was a lot of wheel spin, and he certainly dug into the mud a lot and spread a lot of mud onto the track, probably more than he and the other drivers would have liked. But nevertheless, he did seem to have been beached, and yet he managed to find his way out. So, well done to Wang Tao there. But the conditions, I think, noticeably more treacherous now than they were for this morning's GT4 race. No sign of the safety car coming in just yet. We're now 7 minutes into the race, just under 53 minutes to go. And as I said, the race has officially already started. So there'll be no formation lap. The race has started. And when the race director and the stewards have decided that conditions are safe enough to go racing, then the safety car will come in and we will go racing, but no sign of that happening just yet. There is Han Han in pole position today. He and Joe Osborne finished second in yesterday's race. Han Han making his China GT debut this weekend, and something of a polymath, Han Han. He's an author, a singer, China's most popular blogger, and also a rally driver of some repute as well. And I'm told that he mastered the characteristics of that McLaren 720S very quickly indeed. And he certainly showed his speed today. He and Joe Osborne on pole position for today's race, and let's hope that we get underway soon and Han Han can show us what he's capable of in these very tricky conditions. Obviously, having been a rally driver, you would think that his ability on gravel and other less favourable surfaces might help him to negotiate these tricky wet conditions. We've seen lots of drivers so far sliding and twitching, weaving this way and that as they desperately try to find some grip on this very slippery surface. Peter Liao there in second position, just weaving from side to side, trying desperately to get some temperature into those tyres and into those brakes. There he goes again. These cars not designed really to be driven at these slow speeds. They work best when they're driven hard and the tyres get nice and warm and sticky, and the brakes work best when they're warm as well. You try and brake hard when the brakes are cold, you run the risk of locking up and going straight on, having no control of the car whatsoever, and in these tricky conditions that is exactly what you don't want. You can see there for yourself still a huge puddle on the outside of that left-hander there. That is the left-hander at turn 8, just before they enter this flat-out kick at turn 9, before they brake hard down to another 90-degree left-hander at turn 10. We've seen a few passing manoeuvres being made here earlier on in the weekend. This, strictly speaking, although it's not a straight because there is the kink at turn 9, it is flat out, so there is the possibility of gaining a good exit out of turn 8 to help you onto that long flat out section through the turn 9 kink and then overtaking your rival into turn 10. Peter Liao there just going through turn 12, that's the hairpin where a lot of water collects. 10 minutes of the race having elapsed now, another 50 minutes to go. Still no sign of the safety car coming in. Conditions still very treacherous. In round 5 in Shanghai, there was also torrential rain there, and one of the races there had to be called, and only half points were awarded because less than 2/3 of the race had been completed. We're hoping that that won't be the case today. We're hoping to get some decent running in, but you can see as Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place just goes through turn 17. You can see how much water is being kicked up as the safety car takes them on another lap of this Shougang GT circuit. 3.8 kilometers long, 17 turns. As we go there and have a look at CJ Huang and Wang Tao. CJ Huang taking the first portion of the race in 7th position on the grid and first in the GTC category. And look how much standing water there is as they go through the left-hander there. Looking out of the window, it is still raining, but perhaps not as hard as it has been earlier in the weekend. So hopefully those cars going by can disperse enough of the water that we can start to see a dry line emerging. It will probably depend on whether the cars can disperse the water more quickly than the rain is coming down. That is Adam Christodoulou, having seemingly overtaken the safety car and going at a higher racing speed. The safety car lights are off and is to return to the pits on this lap, the timing screen tells me. But everybody else still forming up behind the safety car. There it is. Hanhan still in the lead. I wonder if Adam Christodoulou made a pit stop, and that's why he seems to be circulating on his own. But he's certainly showing as having completed 4 laps just as everybody else has done. The safety car will be returning to the pits this lap. There we go, the lights are out on the safety car, so we will be going racing soon. And this is really where the drivers are going to be earning their money. Han in the 111 Mercedes now becomes the safety car, essentially. All the cars having to form up now behind him. And let's see how he starts the race, because yesterday Eric Zhang was in precisely this situation and he became unstuck at that last corner. But Han, it looks as if he's bolted. The car's coming round the final corner now. Let's see if they can negotiate that cleanly. Han looks like he's through. And Han goes, we see the green light and we go racing here at round 8 at the Shougang GT circuit in Qinhuangdao. Han in the lead. Peter Liao in 2nd position. Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place. These are your top 3. Han already looking at home, stretching out a bit of a lead over Peter Liao. The car's going very gingerly indeed as they negotiate these turns. The number 63 car, Adam Christodoulou, on my timing monitor is showing as being in 11th place and at the back of the field. So perhaps he made an unscheduled pit stop just before the safety car came in. But in any case, Adam Christodoulou in 11th place at the moment. Han, there is your leader. He's at the front. Peter Liao in 2nd position. Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place in the 88 Mercedes. In 4th place, Junsan Chen in the number 90 BMW. There's your top 4, all in the same shot as they come through the kink at turn 9, flat out in dry conditions, perhaps not so much in the wet. The drivers desperately trying to find a little bit of grip, hard braking down, a little bit of a twitch there from Peter Liao, and he runs a little bit wide, and that allows Jeffrey Lee to close right up. But Peter Liao still in 2nd place. Jeffrey Lee, and a little bit of a twitch there from Jeffrey Lee himself. These conditions very, very difficult for the drivers. Junsan Chen in 4th place, and a bit of a gap developing. In fact, that is Jesse Krohn in 4th place, the Finnish driver, and challenging, is he, Jeffrey Lee? Yes, Jesse Krohn, up into 3rd place. So Jesse Krohn, the Finnish driver, the professional driver, and that is Peter Liao. Peter Liao spins out of 2nd position. Just at the bottom of the picture there, Peter Liao spun. But Han still in the lead. Jesse Krohn in 2nd position now. Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place. But Peter Liao, no sign of Peter Liao in the yellow and grey D2 Racing Mercedes. We just saw him spin at the bottom of the screen. Han starts another lap. Jesse Krohn in 2nd place. A new fastest lap, 2 minutes 0.941. Jeffrey Lee in 3rd position. And we'll wait and see who is in 4th place. That is the 75 car, so CJ Huang in 4th position overall and 1st in the GTC category. Adam Christodoulou already up into 5th in the 63 car. No sign of Peter Liao having made it through yet. Perhaps that is Peter Liao's race run. Perhaps Peter Liao spinning out of 2nd position. These conditions very treacherous indeed. Very disappointing for Peter Liao to be out so early in the race. It does appear as if he's come through. He lost about 30 odd seconds. There is Peter Liao. There is Peter Liao at the top of your screen there. He is in 9th position overall now. So Peter Liao losing a lot of time there. Very disappointing, but at least he's managed to keep the engine running and keep it pointing in the right direction. And look how much spray there is now as Jesse Krohn right on Han Han's tail. The Finnish driver driving right into Han Han's spray. How on earth can he even see anything? The conditions are absolutely atrocious here in Qinhuangdao, but Han Han going defensive, going to the inside. Jesse Krohn to the outside there. This is turn 12. Jesse Krohn getting a better drive, going deep into the corner to get a better drive outside. And Jesse Krohn takes the lead, runs a little wide, but no problem there. Jesse Krohn into the lead of the race. Han Han with a little bit of a slide there. So Jesse Krohn in the BMW takes the lead and now has clear air, and he will want to put in as many fast laps as he possibly can before handing over to Betty Chen for the 2nd stint of the race. Han Han still in 2nd position there. A bit of a gap back to Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place. Let's have a look at the timing monitor. Jesse Krohn, a new fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes 0.1. Han Han a 2 minute 5.9. So Jesse Krohn making up several seconds on Han Han that lap alone. Jeffrey Lee in 3rd place, some 7 seconds behind Han Han already. And Adam Christodoulou up into 4th place, 4.5 seconds behind Jeffrey Lee. 4 seconds quicker than Jeffrey Lee on that last lap, Adam Christodoulou. CJ Huang still leading the GTC category in 5th place overall, closely followed by the number 68 car of Liu Kai, already up into 6th from 11th on the grid. There is Peter Liao in 7th position now. So Peter Liao up into 7th place after that unfortunate mishap a lap or two ago. There is Jesse Krohn, the leader. And Junsan Chen in the number 90 BMW has dropped way down. He's now reading as in 11th place with a 2:29 his last lap, almost 30 seconds slower than Jesse Krohn. So Junsan Chen clearly struggling in these conditions, maybe had a little bit of a moment himself. But all 11 drivers that started the race still running, as Jesse Krohn going very deep into 12. Look how much standing water there is there. Absolutely atrocious conditions. But 20 minutes into the race, all 11 drivers still on the road. Even Peter Liao, who had that unfortunate spin, but he seems to have found his form again at 2 minutes 5.1 his lap on that last lap, and that's faster than some of the cars in front of him. So hopefully Peter Liao can make up for lost time. Meanwhile, one man who definitely isn't hanging around is Jesse Krohn. Look at that huge puddle, and that is the 68 car. That is Liu Kai having a spin at turn 12, and the rain looks as if it certainly looks wetter now than it did a few minutes ago, judging from the plumes of spray as Jesse Krohn was negotiating turn 12 there. Enormous puddles there, and thankfully we haven't seen anybody aquaplaning off just yet into those unforgiving barriers. The barrier's very close to the track on this circuit, almost like a street circuit, as we look at Han Han, still in 2nd position and doing a very good job, some 10 seconds shy of the leader, as Adam Christodoulou has made it past Jeffrey Lee. So Adam Christodoulou now up into 3rd position. Adam Christodoulou and Jesse Krohn, the leader. They are the 2 pro drivers in their driver pairings, so we might expect them to be quicker than some of the other drivers, such as Jeffrey Lee, who is now down in 4th place. He is the AM driver, and he will hand over to Alessio Picariello, his pro driver teammate, for the 2nd portion of the race. Han Han in 2nd place. He is the amateur driver, doing a very good job, and he will hand over to Joe Osborne, the British driver, for the 2nd stint of the race. But Han Han obviously a driver of some repute, plenty of experience in rally driving, and a very quick learner, I'm told, learning the characteristics of that McLaren 720 very quickly, as we look at Jeffrey Lee going through, kicking up pools of spray and water as he goes through the right-hander there. 38 minutes of the race still to go. There is Jeffrey Lee taking the wide line into turn 12. That seems to be the line of choice. Jesse Krohn has used that to great effect, taking Han Han for the lead. A lap or two ago. There is the number 90 car of Junsan Chen. Still running, but showing as 11th position on the timing screen. You can see to the left-hand side there. Jesse Krohn's last lap, a 1:57.6. So perhaps the track just drying out a little bit. That's a very quick lap indeed from Jesse Krohn, who now has a 19.4 second lead over Han Han, who we're looking at now in second position. Adam Christodoulou in third place, some 5.6 seconds further back. There he is in the background. Those are your second and third place cars of Han Han and Adam Christodoulou. Jeffrey Lee, a further 4.4 seconds behind Adam Christodoulou. There's the gap you can see on your screen now. Han Han in second place, Adam Christodoulou 5.6 seconds behind in third place. But Jesse Krohn really got the bit between his teeth. That is a lap several seconds quicker, 1:57.6. The next quickest lap, that lap, was Adam Christodoulou, this man with a 2 minutes 04.3. So Jesse Krohn nearly 7 seconds per lap quicker than anybody else, and Adam Christodoulou himself a professional driver. So Jesse Krohn, the Finnish driver, really putting the hammer down. The pit window will open in 2 minutes time, and will open for 10 minutes, and it'll be interesting to see exactly who does what when. I would think Han Han and Jeffrey Lee would be coming in very quickly so that they can hand over to their pro co-drivers as soon as possible, whereas Jesse Krohn and Adam Christodoulou might do well just to hang on to their ride a little longer, because they've got to hand over to their amateur counterparts who may not be quite so quick in these treacherous conditions. And it'll be well worth Jesse Krohn and Adam Christodoulou trying to build up as much of a lead as they possibly can before they hand over to their co-drivers. Meanwhile, we're looking at the 75 Lamborghini, driven by CJ Huang, still in the lead in the GTC category, some 6 seconds ahead of the 68 car of Liu Kai, who's recovered from that little spin earlier and getting a little bit sideways there. Liu Kai twitching all over the place, dear oh dear, but he's managed to keep it pointing in the right direction. Perhaps that car, that Radical, not best suited to these wet conditions. Slowing down, and the 75 car, as I say that, CJ Huang has fallen foul of the conditions at turn 17, using the grass to turn around there. That may not be the best choice. Let's see if he can get out. He's certainly spinning his wheels enough, doing a little bit of lawn mowing, and it looks as if CJ Huang has lived to fight another day. Peter Liao going past him, and CJ Huang now down into 7th place overall and 2nd in the GTC category. So Liu Kai now leading the GTC category in 5th position overall, and Peter Liao now back up into 2nd position. And all the cars still on the road as we approach half distance. Nobody off into the barriers or stuck in the grass. We've had a few little moments there. Peter Liao had a spin, Liu Kai had a spin, and CJ Huang just now had a moment as well. But thankfully, everybody still on track, and the pit window is now open, so we can expect to see some of the cars coming in. I would think Han Han and Jeffrey Lee would be in fairly shortly, but this man, Adam Christodoulou, in 4th place, and Jesse Krohn, the leader, may want to stay out a little bit longer before they hand over to their co-drivers. Adam Christodoulou taking a wider line there, and the rain really lashing down again now. You can see the shine on the road. You can see the raindrops there. It's really coming down, and that is I can't tell which of the BMWs that is. That might be Junsan Chen. But Han Han does indeed come into the pits. So Han Han into the pits. I think that is Junsan Chen coming in, the number 90 car. Junsan Chen been circulating quite slowly, and he is pitting at the first possible opportunity to hand over to Nick Yellerly, the British driver. Junsan Chen and Nick Yellerly had an unfortunate day yesterday with all sorts of problems and penalties, but managed to pick up a few points, and now it's all down to Nick Yellerly to see if he can close the gap. The number 90 BMW dead last at the moment. Meanwhile, his stablemate, the number 91 car, sitting pretty at the front at the moment with Jesse Krohn at the wheel. The Finnish driver handing over to Betty Chen later in the race. And that is the number 90 car still waiting, down off the jacks now, and Nick Yellerly just waiting for the signal to go. The cars have to stop for a certain length of time. Nick Yellerly and Junsan Chen, the number 90 car, stationary for an agonizing 75 seconds, but there you can see him just leaving the top of the pits now, and Nick Yellerly has 33 minutes to try to close the gap and make an impression. Meanwhile, Han Han coming in for his stop, and coming out of the pits just behind Nick Yellerly, but Nick Yellerly 1 lap behind. So that is Han Han's teammate, of course, Joe Osborne, now in the car. Joe Osborne, a McLaren factory driver. Plenty of experience with these GT cars. And a little bit of debris on the track there. I wonder if that's a legacy of CJ Huang's little spin earlier on in the race, or perhaps there's been some contact there that we haven't seen. But anyway, no sign of the safety car or anything just yet, as we look at the 918 Lamborghini of Cheng Wan-cheng and Joby Huang. We haven't seen them so far, but the 918 Lamborghini down in 8th position and 3rd in the GTC category. As we look at Jesse Krohn still leading the race, Adam Christodoulou in 2nd place, the 2 pro drivers not having stopped yet. They will probably go another lap or 2, I would think. There is Adam Christodoulou in the 63 Toro Racing Mercedes, still circulating round, not quite putting in the same sort of lap times as Jesse Krohn. A 2 minutes 3.4, that last lap from Adam Christodoulou. Compare that with a 1:59.2 for Jesse Krohn. So the Finnish driver clearly very much enjoying these conditions, very much at home. Adam Christodoulou in 2nd place, some 17.3 seconds down the road at the moment. Adam Christodoulou in 2nd place. In 3rd place, it's Liu Kai and Lo Taho. In the 68 car, Liu Kai still at the wheel there. That is one of the BMWs. That is Nick Yellerly, still showing as being in 11th place, but Nick Yellerly trying to make up for lost time. There we see another one of the BMWs. That is the 91 car. That is Jesse Krohn, just putting a lap on the Lamborghini there. Ooh, very tight, but Jesse Krohn making it round the outside. Can be very difficult to negotiate back markers in these sorts of conditions, because with the spray being so bad, they may not even see you. And the 186 car there being driven by Li Jiaqi, just gone out of the way in time. Just saw Jesse Krohn, who thankfully manages to carry on his merry way and still leading the race as the clock ticks down to 30 minutes. So half the race still to go, and 11 cars still on the island and in the race. And that's fantastic to see in conditions like this. Very, very treacherous indeed. Everybody has somehow, just about, almost managed to keep it on the island. A few thrills and a few spills, but thankfully nobody out of the race yet. And it'll be very good to see all the cars getting into the second portion of the race after the pit window shuts, still in the race. So we'll have all the drivers slated to take part, at least taking part in some of the race here today. There's some of the BMW mechanics looking pensive, clearly waiting for a stop, and that will be Jesse Krohn coming in. perhaps this lap, perhaps the next lap. He's still got 4 minutes or so to make his stop, but there he is, still in the lead. Taken another 4 seconds out of Adam Christodoulou on that last lap. The gap now 21 seconds. And Jesse Krohn coming up to lap another one of the Lamborghinis. Can't quite see which one that is. This is turn 12, and the Lamborghini very, very kindly gets out of the way. Very gentlemanly driving there. And Jesse Krohn carries on in the lead, unimpeded. Hard braking now down to the hairpin at turn 15. Still a huge amount of standing water on the circuit, even with so many of these very powerful cars having circulated for many, many laps. Jesse Krohn going very slowly around that last corner, tiptoeing around as Peter Liao comes in for his mandatory stop. Now, he has no co-driver for this event. He's doing both portions of the race, so he simply has to come in and sit on his marks for his allocated 68 seconds. Peter Liao in the pits there, and this is Joe Osborne showing in 6th position now at the beginning of the most recent lap. Joe Osborne in that McLaren, this brand new McLaren 720S, the first time that we've seen this car in China GT, so very good to see some new models being represented. It's Jesse Krohn, Joe Osborne, excuse me, as Joe Osborne brakes hard down to the left-hander. That is Adam Christodoulou coming on to put a lap on the 186 Lamborghini, getting very close to the back there. And the Lamborghini moves out of the way. Adam Christodoulou carries on. Just as well, these GT cars have headlights, because that's certainly going to be a big help in these conditions. And it's also helpful for the front runners trying to overtake the back markers as well, to give them a quick flash of the headlights just to say, heads up, I'm coming through. Obviously a luxury that you don't get with single-seaters. And Christodoulou going through the kink at turn 9 there. It looked coming out of turn 8 as if there just might be a little dry line emerging there. Jesse Krohn going wide through the left-hander there, as he comes up to the tight right-hander at 15, one of the slowest corners on the circuit. This last section of the track, very tight and very technical, and Jesse Krohn into the pits for his scheduled stop. So Jesse Krohn pits from the lead, and he will hand over to Betty Chen. That car will be stationary for 73 seconds. There is Betty Chen waiting to step in. The car up on its jacks now. No tyres being changed, but the mechanics just checking everything's okay, checking the tyre pressures, making sure that everything is as it should be. And Betty Chen gets in and prepares herself for her stint in this round 8 of the 2019 China GT Championship. And Adam Christodoulou into the pit as well. He and Jesse Krohn waiting to the last possible moment to make their pit stops. Adam Christodoulou stopping on his marks, and he will hop out, and Eric Zhang will come in for the next portion of the race. Adam Christodoulou and Eric Zhang benefiting from a fortuitously timed safety car in yesterday's race, and they took that victory with relative ease. And interesting to see them changing tyres on what will now be Eric Zhang's car. It looked as if they were still slick tyres. I can't imagine why anybody would go, if they were still wet tyres, excuse me, I can't imagine why anybody would go onto slick tyres in these conditions. Would be very, very difficult, nigh on impossible to negotiate the track on slicks, certainly at the sort of speeds that these cars are going at. There is Betty Chen leaving the pits very gingerly indeed, and as well she might. This is her first running this afternoon, and it's quite a baptism of fire, and you can see how much water there is at the end of the pit lane. Look, as Eric Zhang leaves the pit lane, look at the water splashing there. A huge amount of water and rain having collected there as Eric Zhang comes out. I should think he'll take it rather easy, because he won't want to repeat of the start of yesterday's race when he was racing the first stint, and from his pole position at the last corner as he was about to start the race proper, unfortunately spun and then wasted a whole load of time and had to start again from the back of the field. Anyway, there is the number 88 car now being driven by Alessio Picariello. We didn't see that car having its pit stop. The Belgian driver Picariello now behind the wheel, and he'll look to make up for lost time as well. Picariello going through the left-hander, the kink at turn 9, 23 minutes and 40 seconds of the race still to go. So at the last count, the number 91 BMW, now being driven by Betty Chen, had a 29-second lead, and Peter Liao spins at turn 17, the last corner, but again, he's kept the engine running, he's kept it out of the wall, and Peter Liao resumes. That's Peter Liao's second spin of the day, but thankfully he's managed to keep it on the island. Let's have a look at the replay. Just coming out, and, well, as so many other drivers have done this weekend, he's kept it out of the wall, but he's spun, and look at the amount of water just coming up as he splashes his way through there, coming around the left-hander. That is turn 3, also a treacherous part of the track. 22 minutes and 50 seconds still to go. That is Eric Zhang in the number 63 car, and his teammate Adam Christodoulou is in the pit lane with Sophie.
好，身旁的是现在正在第2位的63号车组，其中已经完成他部分的63号的 Adam. So Adam, we see that you changed the tire at the very beginning, which is not a very good start. However, you overtake like 4 to 5 cars in just one lap. How is your pace today?
Not as good as we were hoping. We decided to make a bit of a setup change just in the pits, so we changed the tyres. We gambled a little bit, but I don't know if we made the right call or not. The conditions are pretty bad out there at the moment, so yeah, a little bit disappointing. I was hoping to be quicker than what I was. But anyway, Eric's in the car. We've made another adjustment, and hopefully we can get on the podium, but it's really tough out there. There's a lot of aquaplaning, and yeah, it's a gamble for everyone, so we just need to see how it looks in 25 minutes.
Thank you so much, Adam. You can go and check out how Eric goes, okay? Thank you. 那 Adam 跟大家分享了一下，在他这个部分呢，大家可以看到，在一开始63号车组是进站进行换胎的一个操作，这是他们之前的一个战略，但是呢，可能不一定奏效。那现在呢，他们的车组是在第2位，但是因为 Eric 呢，也就是藏坎，他面对的是其他车组的职业车手，所以可能登上领奖台呢，还是需要加把劲儿。接下来时间呢，将我们现场专家会解说间 cross back to your guys.
Well, Adam Christodoulou there complaining that his car was not handling to his liking, and of course with he and Eric Zhang having won yesterday's race, that means that their car, the 63 Toro Racing Mercedes, has been slapped with 50 kilograms of success ballast, so perhaps that extra weight is really not what you want to be carrying around with you in these conditions. A little bit of debris it looked like on the exit of turn 16 there, as we focus on Alessio Picariello, who is now right up with Joe Osborne. So Joe Osborne now is showing as leading the race. Alessio Picariello showing in second place, and Betty Chen down to third. Now, we didn't see what happened there, but Betty Chen in the 91 BMW down to third place, and this means that this is the battle for the lead between Joe Osborne and Alessio Picariello, and this should be great racing. These two professional drivers, very experienced, and Picariello closing on Joe Osborne, took 2 seconds out of the British driver on that last lap. Joe Osborne, of course, with 35 kilograms of success ballast, as the 186 Lamborghini being driven by Xiaomin has a spin. That looks like turn 4 and turn 5 in the fast S's. It looks like he might have stalled the car, doesn't appear to be moving, and that's a very awkward place. So I wonder if we might see the safety car as Joe Osborne gets a little bit sideways under braking there, but manages to keep everything under control. Peter Liao into the pits again. That's an unscheduled stop because we're past the pit window. So Peter Liao now showing in 7th position after his pit stop. Alessio Picariello taking the wide line into 12. Just looking out of the window now, it's still raining. It doesn't look as if it's raining any harder, as a great river across the track there, and twitching again. Joe Osborne, hard braking down into turn 15. Joe Osborne in first place, Alessio Picariello in second position. Still a little bit of debris at turn 16 there, but the two leaders managing to negotiate turn 17 without too much in the way of difficulty. Just 7/10 of a second now. So Picariello taking another 4/10 out of Joe Osborne on that lap. Joe Osborne twitching this way and that as they go through and approach turn 3. Joe Osborne in first place, Alessio Picariello in second position. And let's head down to the pit lane and hear more from Sophie.
好的，那在我身旁是现在正在领跑的111号的韩寒的另外一个搭档 Joseph 已经在赛场上正在角逐了。那想问一下韩寒，其实今天从杆位发车，尤其是在安全车的领跑下发车，是不是难度非常大？以及跟你身旁的这些就是竞争者较量的这个感觉是怎样的呢？
地特别的湿滑，所以对我来讲要做的就是尽量的这个拉开跟 AM 叉手的差距。但是那台宝马的 Pro 车手的确非常快，那我也没有机会去做防守。那我们就稳定的把车带到了这个地方啊。那我的搭档现在在场上，那我觉得在这个雨地我们还是有机会再去争取一下的。也希望一会儿可以，我跟他可以站上领奖台吧。对。
好的，没问题。那我看到你也非常着急，想看一下队友的表现，你就先过去查看一下 Joseph 的表现了，好吗？好，谢谢韩。So Han just mentioned about actually today the track is really slippery. So what he wanted to do is to keep the car safe and turn it to his teammate Joseph, and he did it. And so far the car is leading the race. Let's cross back to our commentator to see more information related what happened on the track right now. 接下来时间转回到我们的解说间，看一下现在在赛场上发生了什么内容呢？
Well, we heard Han's team, the mechanics and the engineers, screaming with delight as their man Joe Osborne going very wide. This a very hairy lap indeed from Joe Osborne, and he and Alessio Picariello taking a notable load of different lines through some of the corners, especially round the fast sweeping left-hander at turn 12. Joe Osborne going a little wide and Picariello right on his tail as they approach the tight left-hander at turn 3. Joe Osborne seems to be twitching a little bit in these very, very tricky conditions. Alessio Picariello perhaps finding things a little easier in his car at the moment. Joe Osborne with 35 kilograms of success ballast, Picariello only with 25 after finishing third in yesterday's race, and perhaps those extra 10 kilograms are causing Joe Osborne a little bit of difficulty in handling his car. But nevertheless, the British driver just about managing to stay ahead. Still in first position, Alessio Picariello just behind in second place. Adam Christodoulou in third position now on our timing monitor, and Betty Chen down into fourth place. And a little bit further back, Nick Yellerly up into seventh place now from having been 11th when he took over, so he's got another 15 minutes to try to make up as much time as he possibly can. At the front though, Joe Osborne and Alessio Picariello going deep into the hairpin at turn 12. Now around these sweeping, yes, you can see they're taking a very wide line indeed, almost touching the grass on the other side, not going nowhere near the curb, which you would expect them to take if the race was dry. When the race track is wet like this, sometimes existing rules go out the window and you need to try different lines in order to see what works. Perhaps there's a little bit of grip somewhere else on the circuit. And look how slowly they have to go through the last corner just as they go through that puddle. We heard Adam Christodoulou talking about how much aquaplaning there is. And Alessio Picariello in second position at the moment, having taken over from Jeffrey Lee. And let's hear from Sophie now, who's talking to Jeffrey Lee in the pit lane.
好的，身旁88号车则李永德，其实从第3位发车，现在呢已经由 LSU 驾驶车辆追到第2的位置。那昨天的成绩以及今天在赛场上的表现，你自己觉得就是在秦皇岛这个赛道的整体比赛感受是怎样 ？How do you feel about the track so far？
当然我是第一次来到这个赛道，可是我觉得一开始我对这赛道还蛮有感觉的，所以我对这目前的这整个周末表现，我觉得还算可以。当然，我们这天气变化多端，所以这是一个很大的考验。
是不是在比赛当中最怕的就是看到安全车出动啊？
看什么状况，像现在我就希望安全车出动，像之前就不希望，所以这是有好有坏。当然，我还是希望大家都能平安完赛。
非常感谢李永德。So Jeffrey mentioned about the situation right now. What he finished right here, the first time being here in this circuit, he feels great connection with the circuit, and he thinks the performance is wonderful. And so far, because of the raining condition, he really hopes safety car comes out and save the situation. 好的，那接下来时间将我们的现场转交回解说间 cross back to your guys.
Well, Joe Osborne still in the lead. Alessio Picariello still in second position. Nick Yellerly in 7th place has got the bit between his teeth. He's just set the fastest lap of the race so far as Joe Osborne goes a little wide there, but again lives to fight another day with just 13 minutes of the race still to go. Still Joe Osborne in the lead and Picariello in second place. Joe Osborne, in fact, just setting his best lap of the race so far, a 1:58.5. Picariello responding, also a 1:58.5, almost identical lap times last time round. And the car you see in the background there is Nick Yellerly. Now, this is interesting because Nick Yellerly, he's dropped back a bit on the last lap, but before that, he was actually catching these two leaders. And this could create rather a quandary for Alessio Picariello, because if Yellerly catches him, he's 1 lap behind, so it won't be passing for position. But Nick Yellerly is perfectly entitled to try to unlap himself and carry on his own race. Now, Picariello won't want that to happen, because then he'll have... Oh, and Picariello spins! And, well, he does a whole 360 there. And it looks as if he's managed to get going again, and the spray really does look absolutely terrible at this point in the race. Jeffrey Lee, we heard from just now, saying about how he thought the safety car should be coming out, and Picariello certainly spinning there, and right behind him now is Nick Yellerly. So Nick Yellerly 1 lap behind. This is not a battle for position, but Nick Yellerly will want to overtake Picariello because he'll want to get on and try to close the gap to the cars that he's fighting with further up the road. Picariello probably won't want Yellerly to get by because he'll want a clear track in front of him so that he can close the gap to Joe Osborne, which is now going to be a few seconds. We'll wait and see exactly how much when they cross the start-finish line. And Picariello again twitching and running a little bit wide. These conditions absolutely treacherous and seemingly getting a little bit worse. And there's a whole host of backmarkers now for Picariello to try to unlap. And all the while, Nick Yellerly is going to try to unlap himself from Alessio Picariello. So quite a complicated situation we've got here. Let's just see what happens as they go along the start-finish straight. That is the Porsche in 9th place, the number 8 car there, and 4 of them trying to go by there. But Picariello just about picking his way through all the traffic, and Nick Yellerly doing likewise. So it's as you were, Picariello still in 2nd place, some 6 seconds behind Joe Osborne. Nick Yellerly just behind him on the road, but 1 lap down. Nick Yellerly still in 7th position as they went over the start-finish line. And the presence of Picariello is going to be a bit of a problem for Nick Yellerly, I would think, as we now look at the battle between Peter Liao, and that is Joe Osborne, putting a lap on Peter Liao. Joe Osborne still in the lead and putting a lap on the Lamborghini there, also going very slowly in these wet conditions. Peter Liao still running after 2 spins. And the red flag is out. So the race is being red flagged. The race is being stopped. The red flag, you can see there, the marshal's waving the red flag. Now the clock has stopped. So I wonder if that means that the race will potentially be restarted later. But the race director clearly deciding that enough is enough. The conditions are too treacherous and the red flag is out. So the cars will file in. Joe Osborne was leading the race. Alessio Picariello was in second. Liu Kai and Lo Ziho were showing as being in third position and leading the GTC category. And the rain really coming down now. Joe Osborne going slowly, making his way. Well, not going into the pit lane. And you can see that debris there on towards the middle of turn 16. That looks like a bit of dirt and turf that's been kicked up. So not debris from someone's car. But it's a red flag at the moment. The checkered flag hasn't come out. So the race result has not been declared yet. The red flag has come out, so the race is just being suspended for the time being. As you can see on the clock, there are 10 minutes left to run, and the car's now stopping on the start-finish straight. So no indication that the race has been stopped for good, but clearly the conditions too treacherous to go on with for the time being, and the stewards and the race director have decided that things ought to be stopped. And you can see the rain really coming down now. And I fear if the lap times are getting slower and if things are becoming too dangerous, then that might be it. And look at the puddle there that is on the final corner. You can see just how much water was being kicked up when Peter Liao had a spin there earlier in the race, spinning his wheels on the grass to try to get some traction, and just how much water was being kicked up as he was doing that. There is the 111 car of Joe Osborne and Han Han, that car leading the race. And if the result does get called, then it will be Han Han and Joe Osborne to be declared the winner. There goes the safety car, perhaps just surveying the conditions, seeing whether conditions are too treacherous to continue. You can see something of a dry line emerging on the earlier part of the track there, but there it really does look very wet indeed. Earlier on in the week, we've seen some parts of the track be absolutely sodden, and other parts actually being rather dry as the safety car continues to negotiate its way around the circuit. And it's testimony to the skill of these drivers that, with the conditions being as they are, absolutely atrocious, all 11 cars that started the race are still running. The 186 Lamborghini is showing as having been out of the race, and the 918 Lamborghini also out of the race, or at least 3 laps down on the timing screens. But until it does seem as if those two, their race is run, and the race is being red flagged and is being called off. The race will not resume. So this is the final position. So Joe Osborne and Han Han have won round 8 of the 2019 China GT Championship, the GT3 class here at the Shougang GT circuit. In second place, Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee in the 88 car. And third place on the road and first in the GTC category is Liu Kai and Lo Ziho. So a very good weekend for Liu Kai and Lo Ziho, winning back-to-back races here in Qinhuangdao. They won yesterday's round 7, and they have won today's round 8 as well. Fourth overall and third in the GT3 category, the 63 car of Adam Christodoulou and Eric Zhang. Fifth overall and second in GTC, that is the 75 Lamborghini, the YC racing car of CJ Huang and Wang Tao. Sixth overall and fourth in GT3 is the 91 BMW of Jesse Krohn and Betty Chen. Jesse Krohn really putting the hammer down in the early part of the race, and that car ultimately finishing 4th in GT3, 6th overall. Next up, the other BMW, the number 90 car of Nick Yellerly and Junsan Chen, 7th overall and 5th in GT3. So Nick Yellerly really putting the bit between his teeth, set the fastest lap of the race just a couple of laps ago on lap 19. But since then, the stewards obviously decided enough is enough. And you see the cars now coming around, being led by the safety car for one final lap before they file into the pits and into Parc Fermé. And then we will hear from the drivers, the race winners. It will be very interesting to see exactly what the drivers make of today's race, run in absolutely appalling conditions. And every driver doing very, very well indeed to keep it on the island. Even those that did spin, did run wide, they all managed to get going again. And some fantastic displays of driving on show this weekend in Qinhuangdao at this Shougang GT circuit. And great to see so many spectators here as well. A brand new circuit, motor racing rather new to this part of East China. And nice to see a packed grandstand, even despite such atrocious conditions. Well, at the last China GT weekend in Shanghai, one of the races had to be called through torrential rain. And unfortunately, the same thing has happened here at Qinhuangdao. Now, most of the race was run, so I don't think half points will be awarded. I think full points, full championship points will be awarded. So Joe Osborne and Han Han will receive their full complement of 20 points for winning the race. Of course, all of this just provisional at the moment. We'll have to wait for official clarification, but it does, I would think that ought to be the case. So, if you're just joining us, the race has been declared after around about 50 minutes of this GT3 and GTC and One Make Trophy combined grid. 21 laps completed, and at the end of it, Joe Osborne and Han Han declared the winners of the GT3 category, Liu Kai and Lo Ziho winning the GTC category, as indeed they did in yesterday's round 7. So a fantastic weekend for Liu Kai and Lo Ziho. Liu Kai doing double shifts this weekend, also racing in this morning's GT4 category. And he said after the race win yesterday in the GTC class that having run in the morning in the GT4 category, it did help him running in the afternoon for GTC, because he was more familiar with the track, more familiar with the characteristics and exactly where the grit was on the road. So a very good weekend for Liu Kai, and his hard work certainly paying off there. Lo Ziho also another driver to have driven very well indeed this weekend, as we see the cars now filing into Parc Fermé. We had a safety car finish this morning due to debris after a collision on track, and regrettably it's a safety car finish this afternoon as well. But thankfully no serious damage to any of the cars, and even more thankfully no serious damage to any of the drivers. That is the most important thing. Safety safety a primary concern in China GT and in all forms of motorsport. And unfortunately the conditions just too treacherous to continue. But there is your race winner, Joe Osborne, the British driver, the McLaren factory driver, knows this McLaren 720 very well indeed. Even he seemed to be struggling in these conditions. We saw him twitching this way and that, just trying to find the grit, but ultimately came away with the win. There he is, Han Han congratulating him. Han Han, the amateur driver, also doing very well. Many, many strings to his bow, not just a racing driver, also a rally driver, an author, an actor, a singer, a writer, and China's most popular blogger. So Han Han, in addition to all of those achievements, now a China GT winner as well. So another feather in the cap for Han Han. And this is his first appearance in China GT, along with Osborne, So a very good debut for the two of them, and we will hopefully be hearing from them very shortly indeed. Alessio Picariello and Jeffrey Lee in second place after their third place finish yesterday. So no win this weekend, but some good championship points nonetheless. Confirmation then of the results. Joe Osborne and Han Han winning the race. Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello in second place. In third place and winning the GTC category, Liu Kai and Lo Ziho. Fourth, Adam Christodoulou and Eric Zhang. In fifth place, CJ Huang and Wang Tao. Jesse Krohn and Betty Chen in sixth position, followed by Nick Yellerly and Junsen Chen in the other FIS team, AAI BMW. In eighth position, the number 2 car of Peter Liao, 2 spins on his way to eighth place, but nevertheless finishing the race. In ninth, the number 8 Porsche 911 of Wu Pei in the Porsche One Make Trophy category. So, Joe Osborne and Han Han, a fantastic win in very tricky conditions. And let's hear exactly what they have to say now when they're with Sophie.
好的，在这里非常恭喜在我身旁的111号车组两位车手韩寒和 Joseph 获得了我们的第2回合 GT3 组别的冠军。Congratulations for both of you. Starting from Joseph, because yesterday we talked about it and taking the second place, and today from pole to win. Score your debut right here in China GT with us.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it might always seem easy when you start in pole and you finish in first, but the bit in between was difficult. Han Han took the start and did perfectly. Never driven this car in the wet, never driven GT3 in the wet. So for him to give me the car in the position to win, he made my job really easy today. So all the praise should go to this guy. He was super.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Joseph 说了一下，就是其实今天的比赛，其实大部分的功劳要归功于在他身旁的韩寒，因为韩寒呢第一次在这种湿地，然后开 GT3 的车，然后能够如此出色的在这个该位发车，就能够领跑一直到后面的这个位置，所以非常感谢韩寒。那韩寒其实这一次第一次来到长安 GT， 肯定也会自己有压力，因为对自己肯定是有严要求的。这一次在秦皇岛站的比赛，能跟我们总结一下你自己的此时此刻的心情？
其实这个比赛不算容易，因为我们这个天气特别的多变，然后又有很大的这个雨，而且这个赛道是非常湿滑的，在我比赛过当中都是算是非常非常滑的，又是一个街道赛。那我们的团队做得非常好，然后这个车调教的也很棒，再加上我的这个 teammate 他又快又稳，那我们一起还是完成了这个目标，我觉得特别的高兴，然后也感谢我们的这个团队，而且真的很难，就这个车很棒，再加上这个赛道真的很难，四面都我们没有发生任何的这个问题，无论是车或者说团队配合都没有任何的问题，我觉得很不容易。
谢谢韩寒。So I mentioned about actually this whole weekend is the success comes from the teamwork, especially as you can see the car when they fit in the track, which is really slippery and narrow. For Han, it's definitely very difficult, but his teammates, the whole team, the organization, and how the car fit into the whole race and adjustment of the car is perfect, which delivered it for the success this weekend. Congratulations for both of you. 再次恭喜111号的两位车手获得了我们本场的冠军。接下来时间将我们现场转交回解说间 ，Cross back to your guys for more information.
Well, Han Han paying tribute to his team there, but I think a lot of praise should go to the Chinese driver himself. As Joe Osborne said there, it's one thing starting from pole and another thing winning the race, but it's the bit in the middle where there are some adventures on the way. And Han Han put in a fantastic first stint of the race and gave Joe Osborne a fantastic platform from which to win the race and bring the car home. A few hair-raising moments, and you can see for yourself how wet the track still is. So Joe Osborne and Han Han winning the GT3 category. Let's hear from Sophie with the GTC winners now.
好，恭喜在我身旁的68号车组的刘凯以及卢思豪是获得了 GTC 组别全场的冠军。今天呢，这个发车位置呢其实很一般，但是呢，对于两位车手来说，尤其是雨战已经有经验了，因为你们早上已经经历过了这样一个这样天气的状况。先从刘凯来说吧，来说一下你今天完成的部分，以及昨天你说在雨战当中你学到的经验是怎样清楚的区分干湿地。那今天的比赛当中，你又学到什么样的新的技术 ？What is the new skill you learned from this game today?
昨天是因为半干半湿，所以我们就是可以看到柏油的深浅跟湿地跟干地的分别。但是今天是全湿，所以昨天的经验基本不适用了。而且今天的 赛道状况变化太大，因为开始的时候安全车带的前3圈是没有很大的积水，然后但是发车3圈之后，我在有一个弯还打转了一下，因为那个地方突然间从干地变成了就是涓涓溪流，我觉得，所以在那个地方就没有控制好，但是还好那个车没有问题，然后就回来了，然后跑到中间的时候，然后我们车也进入状态之后，整场的时间还是比较平均，然后就换我的队友啊。
非常感谢刘凯。刘凯 mentioned about actually when he took the experience yesterday because the track is half wet and half dry. However, today the track is fully wet. So today the experience is just some places it's very easy to manage to overtake the other cars. However, some corners with lots of water, it's really slippery for him. And he's been in one corner. However, he managed to pass the car to 卢思豪, which is really good. 思豪，其实今天我们的比赛呢，因为天气的原因下大雨，所以提前结束了。那么你在车上的这个部分的完成度，这周末能够以最后冠军来结束在秦皇岛的首秀，是不是非常的满意 ？Satisfied about the result, especially with the raining condition like this?
其实我觉得赛会确定要把这个赛事提早完结是一个很不错的决定，因为后来第3段的赛道其实已经都变成一条河，其实所有车都要很马队，所有车都要开很慢，所以其实也有一个危险度在，所以但是最后可以拿到这个冠军，然后也车子的发挥也是很稳定，所以也谢谢我的队友给我的时候就已经有一个很好，开心
吗？
但是很不错，就是有一个很好的一个优势给我，然后所以其实我后来就一直慢慢保持自己的节奏回来就可以了，然后就最后拿到冠军也是非常开心的。
祝贺卢思豪. So Lu Sihao just mentioned about actually today, it's very wise choice from race control from China GT to decide to end the whole game because from driver's perspective, the section 3 is actually just like a river. All of the drivers, they drive really slow so to keep the car safe. So it's definitely very happy result for both of them to take the victory today and under this condition. 再次感谢两位，也祝贺两位在秦皇岛赛道获得了我们 GTC 组别的冠军。接下来时间将我们的现场转交回解说间，稍后呢为您带上的是我们的颁奖环节 Car Spectator guys, and later on we're going to show you the awarding ceremony. See you soon.
Well, interesting to hear Lotaho's comments there about how much water there was there at the final section of the track. You can see there in the background. And let's have a look at some of the highlights from today's delayed race. Well, we were delayed by over an hour here due to the heavy rain. When we did eventually get going, it was behind the safety car. Several laps of running behind the safety car just to allow cars and drivers to get a feel for the very wet conditions. You could see for yourself there how wet things are. Lots of concerned faces in the pits. When we finally did get going, the 111 McLaren of Han Han took the lead from Peter Liao in second place. Lots of racing up and down the field. The BMW there going up the inside. Han Han there holding off. That was Jesse Krohn, the Finnish driver, who took the lead from Han Han and then began to pull out a lead of several seconds a lap. The 68 car of Liu Kai there had a little bit of a moment, but ultimately that didn't stop him on his way to winning the GTC category. Then we had the pit stops. Junsan Chen coming in for Nick Yellowly. Adam Christodoulou handing over to Eric Zhang. Peter Liao there losing it, as so many others did, on the exit of turn 17, but he managed to keep it going. Joe Osborne, there was a great battle between Osborne and Picariello, which raged all the way until the end of the race. Joe Osborne got a little bit sideways on more than one occasion, but he always managed to keep his McLaren in the right position, which is more than can be said for Alessio Picariello, who gave us a beautiful 360 spin there, which wasn't what he had in mind, I have no doubt, but he managed to keep his car pointing in the right direction, and a very good recovery drive there from Picariello, who had another little moment there. Very, very difficult, these conditions, and as conditions worsened towards the end of the race, Joe Osborne managed to stroke it home. Lots of wind, lots of rain here, and the officials eventually deciding that enough was enough, and the race was red flagged and declared, with Joe Osborne and Han Han the winners of the GT3 category, and Liu Kai and Lo Zihe winning the GTC race. So, after a delayed start here, we finally did get some running, and we finally got most of the race. 50 minutes of the race elapsed before the stewards decided that enough was enough and that conditions were too dangerous. There were worries that at some point we wouldn't get a race at all, and the race start was delayed by over 1 hour while stewards assessed the situation. Thankfully, we did get underway, and the drivers did really very well indeed to keep it out of the barriers and keep it off the grass. A few scary moments here and there, but in general, nothing major, no major disaster, no major damage to car, and more importantly, no major damage to any of the drivers. Well, no damage at all. Everybody perfectly okay, and that's always good to see after a very treacherous wet race like this. So quite a eventful first weekend for the Shougang GT circuit at the China GT Championship. This is a very new circuit, a brand new track, and when it gets wet, as it has done for the last day or two, the track really does become very treacherous indeed. Look at the rivers there, just running across the track. And that's no fun when you're trying to drive through it. Interesting to hear Lo Zihe's comments about how the last portion of the track, section 3, very much like a river. You can see there the water at the top of the circuit, that huge puddle that the drivers had to negotiate to get through turn 17. A little bit of a dry line emerging on the left-hand side of the track there. That just shows you how much water that these tyres can disperse when they're going quickly. But we've seen the race, and now it's time to join the drivers for their celebrations on the podium.
大家好，欢迎您来到2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛秦皇岛站 GT3 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT3 class at the round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in 秦皇岛。首先，让我们有请本场的冠军车队，来自于 FIS Team AAI。有请我们的冠军车队代表登台 FIS Team AAI。The winning team of the class, FIS Team AAI. 有请本场第3名车手组合，来自于 Toro Racing Adam Chris Todolo 和藏坛。The second run-up goes to from Toro Racing Adam Chris Todolo and Eric Zhang. 有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 EWS Craft Bumble Racing。Alessio Picarello 和 Jeffrey Lee. The first run-up goes to from EWS Craft Bumble Racing, Alessio Picarello and Jeffrey Lee. 有请本场冠军车手组合，来自于圣之队 Joseph Osborne 和韩寒。The winning is from the winning team, Joseph Osborne and Han Han. 有请我们本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于米其林亚太赛事总监狄月池先生。Let's welcome our prisoner to top 3 place getters, Michelin Asia Pacific Motorsport Director, Mr. Patrick Diaz. Mr. Patrick。那么现在留给我们车手的是香槟的时间 ，Now is the champagne time。那么接下来您将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛秦皇岛站 GT3 PA 组的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of the GT3 PA class at the Round 2 of the China GT Championship 2019 in Qinhuangdao。首先，让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 Toro Racing Adam Cristololo 和藏坎。The second runner-up goes to from Toro Racing Adam Cristololo and Eric Zhang。有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 EWS Craft Bumble Racing。Alessio Pigrello 和 Zebri Lee。The first runner-up goes to from EWS Craft Bumble Racing, Alessio Pigrello and Zebri Lee。有请本场第1名车手组合，来自于胜利车队 Joseph Osborne 和韩寒。The champion is from the winning team, Joseph Osborne and Han Han。让我们有请本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于秦皇岛瑞通发展有限公司刘永波先生。Let's welcome our president to the top 3 place getters from Qinhuangdao Ruitong Development Company, Chairman Liu。请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好的，谢谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。那么接下来留给我们车手的是上班的时间 ，It's champagne time。 么接下来您将继续看到的是 China GT 绅士组第2回合的颁奖仪式，有请我们的有请我们的车手冠军，来自于 D2 车队廖阳。The champion is from D2 Racing Team, Liao Yang. 有请我们本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于秦皇岛瑞通红旗体验中心总经理刘云龙先生。Let's welcome our passenger to F Top 3 Place Scatters, General Manager of Rayton Red Flag Experience Center, Mr. Liu Yunlong. 好的，非常感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾，也同样恭喜我们的获奖车手廖阳先生。那现在留给我们车手的是。接下来您将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛秦皇岛站 GTC 的颁奖仪式，第2回合的颁奖仪式。Now let's welcome the top 3 place getters and the winning team onto the podium. 首先有请本场的冠军车队，来自于 YC Racing. The winning team of the class, YC Racing. 有请本场第3名车手组合，来自于 YCRT 车队李佳琦和肖敏。The second round number goes to from YCRT, 李佳琦 and 肖敏。有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 YC Racing 黄熙展和王涛。The first round number goes to from YC Racing, 黄熙展 and 王涛。有请本场的冠军车手组合，来自于 Extreme Motorsport 刘凯和卢思豪。The champion is from Extreme Motorsport 刘凯 and 卢思豪。那么接下来，让我们有请本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于首钢首秦公司党委书记和董事长赵九良先生。Let's welcome our prisoner to Edward Top 3 Place Getters, Mr. 赵九良。好的，请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好的，恭喜我们的获奖车手。那么也感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。Now is the showman time. 来您将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛秦皇岛站 GTC 组 AA 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of the GTC class at the round 2 of AA class. Now let's welcome the third place YCRT 李佳琦和肖敏，有请本场的第3名车组合来自于 YCRT 李佳琦和肖敏。有请本场第2名车组合来自于 YC Racing 黄熙展和王涛。The first runner-up goes through from YC Racing, CJ Huang and Wang Tao. 有请本场冠军车手组合来自于 Extreme Motorsport 刘凯和卢思豪。The champion is from Extreme Motorsport 刘凯 and Lu Sihao. 好的，那么接下来让我们有请本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于瑞士高级腕表品牌 Qinhuangdao 亚洲区董事长何明玉。Let's welcome our president to award top 3 place getters, Director of Asia of Qinhuangdao, Miss Winnie He. 好的，非常感谢我们的嘉宾。
哎呦我靠！好的，那么最后一组呢，您将继续看到的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛单一品牌组的颁奖仪式。Let's welcome the single make trophy class at the round 2. Now let's welcome you onto the podium from YCRT Wu Pei. 有请我们本场的颁奖嘉宾来自于瑞士高级腕表品牌 Qinhuangdao 大中华区 CEO 潘国成。Let's welcome our president to top 3 place getters from Greater China, Mr. CEO of Qinhuangdao. 好的，感谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。那接下来留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time.
Well, Qinhuangdao certainly served up a treat here this weekend. Plenty of rain, plenty of drama, plenty of thrills and spills, ultimately ending up with Zhou Osborne and Han Han winning the GT3 race and Liu Kai and Lo Ziho winning this afternoon's GTC category. 4 fantastic races throughout the weekend, plenty of action here, and we'll see you next time in Tianjin on September the 7th for the following round of the China GT Championship in 2019. 2 more rounds in Tianjin, and then the championship ends with 2 more rounds in Shanghai in October. Plenty still to play for, and if it's been half as exciting as this weekend here in Qinhuangdao, then we'll be in for a treat in Tianjin next time in September, and also in Shanghai in October. Let's hope we see some full races here. Perhaps a little bit too much rain here for people's liking. The race here this afternoon was delayed by over 1 hour, but nevertheless, we got some fantastic racing in. Congratulations to all our winners, and we'll see you next time in Tianjin in September.
好的，再次感谢我们所有观众朋友们在今天整一天的比赛当中守候在 China GT 中国超级跑车锦标赛的直播的这个画面当中。那同样呢，我们的比赛在这周末也就在我们秦皇岛的首钢赛道正式结束了。那非常恭喜所有登上领奖台的车手们，也是尤其在这样的一个雨战的条件下，为大家带来了如此精彩绝伦的比赛画面。那在下个月的时间，9月初呢，我们将会前往天津 V 赛场进行我们的全年第5站的比赛，所以希望所有观众朋友能够届时守候我们的直播。谢谢您的收看。Okay, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, congratulations for all the winners. And next month we are heading to Tianjin V1 circuit, and please stay tuned with us all the time and support all of our drivers. This is China GT Championship right here in Qinhuangdao. See you next month. Bye for now.